Great.
Okay, this
Should
is
have this done
the
by now.
July 13th Acquisitions and Dispositions Committee meeting. And we're waiting for a couple of people for a quorum.
Tom,
Yeah, so I'm recording this so that when Seat does minutes, they can get a better handle on what's
Discuss
going
your
on.
hair.
What hair?
All right, so we have a quorum. Call meeting to order.
All right, it is what time is it now?
3:50.
Time to leave?
3:50, yeah, Brian's, but you're here with us for the duration, Brian.
3:50. Call the meeting to order.
Heather here.
Roll call.
Jeanette Nicholson here. Heather King here. Albert Watson is absent.
So Shazzy here, Edmund here.
you guess.
Steve Strikeman here. Yep.
Property Disposition Committee recommendations.
So for the last 2 months, the Finance Committee has tabled what was teed up for good reason. We're going to meet Friday with Steve and Monica and Dylan, Kate, Heather, and I to talk about what our plan is for the Legacy City bundles. So that, I mean, that's generally what we're there to talk about, right?
That, yeah, I'll look at other properties as well between now and then.
Oh, great.
And we'll talk, see if there's any other potential funding revenue streams or whatever that maybe we have something we
Okay.
can bring into it.
Whatever that piques your interest, can you email me Friday morning? The addresses
Of our,
Some-
of our stuff.
that you might be wanting to talk about. Sometimes I've done them.
That'd be pretty.
With nothing pretty. I'm curious as if you ever have given us anything pretty.
Very sweet.
Very pretty.
Why don't you look at the back windows?
No, it's all good, Steve. I just
That's the only
sometimes
one I
I,
remember, so.
so sometimes I no, sometimes I've done them or I have
Okay.
information on them. So
I had this on the agenda before we really had the meeting set up with the city, so there's not really that much to talk about because it got tabled. Do you want to talk about Beacon Communities?
Sure.
Do you want to do that openly?
Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
really no reason,
recorded?
there's really no
Okay,
reason not to.
just wanted to check. So Beacon Communities, you know, we have purchase option agreements with them and with Vesta Communities. And the deadlines for all those have expired. I don't remember what they were, but they've come and gone for a while now, I believe.
The option period, they have until October to initiate the option, but they missed the internal deadlines of the option for due diligence and to apply for funds. So technically, those are waived.
Didn't they apply it for HCR and they didn't get it?
They didn't apply at all.
They didn't apply. I think there were 2 rounds that they decided not to apply.
And they
This
didn't tell us.
latest round,
They didn't apply because they didn't think they'd get it.
well, the first time they didn't, which was January because of COVID, they just felt that the state there's nobody at the state because there was nobody at the state. But they decided to submit an application for Taylor Apartments at the city's request because it would be phase 2 of that project. At least that's my
No,
understanding.
it's still phase 1. They didn't get funded.
Okay.
This was their first application. for
Okay.
Taylor. And then they didn't get it, but we've been working on that 2 years plus.
Okay.
Before this one even came on.
So their philosophy is if they submit 2 applications, they're basically competing with themselves. So they decided not to go after the Fallon apartment, LITCH application and just to go with Taylor. So that all rolls into, we've got an allocation of $293,000 from Enterprise Community to buy 4 or 5 properties to sell to Beacon. And Kate and I were on a call with them last week. And I don't think we can pull it off, but I'm gonna try like hell. to try to have that $293,000 reallocated so we can use it somewhere else instead of with Beacon. Tanya,
With the same properties or with anything else?
I don't know, however I can save the money. Um,
Are those, what condition are those properties in?
That's, I don't know, because I've never, they're all Vesta properties and I've never been in them.
I might have been.
I don't believe they're like in a demo state, like
Yeah,
they're pretty stable.
I think they're inhabitable, but I don't know because I haven't been in there.
So the question is, are they something that $70,000 or $90,000 the unit is gonna be able to? Put
Oh,
them
if
into
you
the bundle?
put them in the bundle.
Or assemble into something else too.
70 to 90,000.
That's what, that's what they're giving to. Yeah,
75 to
70
95.
per unit, depending on, I may be off a little bit on those, but depending on the affordability.
It's 75 to 95,000 depending on the energy efficiencies and the affordability. So
And they're in the bundle. They're in one of your bundles now. Did you put those?
the Beacon community properties are not.
Do you want to put up on
Yeah.
the screen your,
Exactly.
I handed
Actually,
in the map.
3
yeah,
bundles.
why don't you put on your screen what you have for the,
If you do that,
Kate, you want us to
maybe the
move
first
that?
Bundle,
No,
I wonder if,
So.
So why don't you show us these Beacon ones?
tell me the numbers when you, as you get.
Come on, girl. Okay, so this is actually a list of properties that multiple organizations want the same properties.
So the ones we would be buying
That's what
would
this was
be
intended for.
32 Glen, 17 Park, 3346, and 3236.
No, actually, they would be these.
Those are the ones from the city, though, not the best ones.
Yeah, no, so this is a different map. Let me throw up something else.
What are the ones we would have to buy for the 293?
I'm gonna pull that up right now.
Want to know right now.
You are gonna find out right now. Those, lady. This is hard to do from the side
So why does it have THA next to it?
because it's really THA when all is said and done.
So those are the 4 from Vesta?
Yes, I believe they're all Vesta. Interesting, 834 River Street is right next door to 836 River Street, which we're about to own again. So that would be great. That would be fantastic to get both sides of that building. Let's see, this is the vacant lot.
That
Why
was
is
that
it
one
99?
vacant lot that was right next, that's got the cut through.
Yeah,
What's the address?
814 River.
814 River.
That's really a strategic parcel because it runs from River Street to 6th Avenue.
Yep. And that's the one they would not sell to us.
And it's also,
I think we had an option on
we
that.
did,
We
yeah,
did.
we did.
Yeah, we did.
Vesta wouldn't sell to you?
No, because it's got the cut through and they wanted to keep it to, what's the property that's the one that was the,
820.
Well, the next
Yeah.
one north.
yeah, it was 820.
It's
think that
before my
was-
time, but I think they just
Father
wanted to keep
Young's.
it for parking.
Yeah, Father Young's. So they wanted to keep that lot because otherwise it would have had, they said it had no parking, but it's very strategic because it's a total, it could be
So they
like a
still
nice.
don't want to sell to you?
Well, now it's part of our purchase option agreement, so,
Okay, so they'd be-
but if we lose the money from Enterprise,
So what would be nice is if we could get that was one of those last parcels that we wanted to get because for future development, if we decide to sell it to somebody else, I mean, we had some concepts that came through here, with like kind of like a park and you know what I mean? It's just like some pretty neat stuff.
What are the other 2?
834 River, 814 River, 809 River.
and 3215,
The lot's
Six.
814.
the lot is 814, yeah.
So, and I'm just talking out loud, what I was thinking was that with Enterprise, because it's not looking good for us if we don't use that 293 for those properties, right? Let's say we might be able to propose to Beacon, listen, or not Beacon, excuse me, Enterprise. if you give us the money, we will purchase these by the end of the year.
Correct.
We will hold in an option contract for a certain amount of time to give Beacon a little bit to see what they're gonna do. Because when we talked to Duncan, I've known Duncan a long time too, it didn't sound like they're in any hurry. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what Enterprise's problem is it's just not gonna happen fast enough. Not that they don't want the
They're on a
project.
5 or 10 year plan.
Right. So we could do like hold it, land bank it, but also show Enterprise a proposal too. Like if we don't do this, we would like to do this, and maybe somehow tie it to legacy where those parcels would be crucial to a bundle for that program.
Can I be excused for a minute?
Sure.
Can Beacon be a developer on the legacy?
It has to be a MWBE.
It doesn't have to be. They're
Oh, well,
MWB, MWBEs and minority and women-owned businesses are preferred. When they had a conversation with us, they were really pushing for minority developers that they could elevate to a higher status to MBE.
Is Beacon for profit?
But I mean, that wouldn't stop them from having subs that were MWBEs, but you have to kind of get that, you know, like a Beacon or another contractor on board to sub to WBEs so they can make the quota.
Yep.
That's the tough part about it.
To wait to do all that, still make it part of Fallon. I mean, I don't know what their demo phasing plan is for Fallon. Sounds like they're talking about having a higher density on Fallon than they initially talked about.
Well, I think this all changed because remember Doug came back and said he was going through the city disposition list that wasn't even out.
Yeah.
And he was picking out different properties. So I don't know if he was picking out those properties in place of, oh no, I'm sorry. He couldn't get the Price Chopper parcel, right?
That was contaminated. That was
Yeah, that had a
was
lot
too
of asbestos.
contaminated, yeah.
And
Wasn't
other
worth it.
issues. So I think that's why he was looking for those other buildings. So I think for for Fallon Apartments, I think these are all still what Beacon would like.
But I'm just wondering if we couldn't do the project with Beacon and Enterprise wasn't gonna wait, if a second proposal could be submitted with that saying, we want to move forward with the purchase, we're gonna use those 2 parcels plus the others for land assemblage for the legacy, right? And then with the legacy, you could either demo those properties, you could rehab them in
You
place.
can't demo.
You can't demo, okay. You could
That's
rehab them in place and then you could do new build, right? On
Can't
the
do a
remaining.
build with legacy either, right?
Can't do a build. It's strictly
Rehab.
renovation of
No,
1, 2, or 3
no.
family.
So the only
But-
thing,
That still makes sense because, I'm sorry,
No, it's okay.
because most of the stuff we have in our bundles really are not in good condition.
Because
These are
they're
habited-
selling those
inhabited.
for 145 a piece, and again, I haven't seen them, I don't know. They have to be in decent shape, because,
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're inhabited.
809 is a 5 year. And I think that excludes it from the legacy.
okay,
But 834 is 3, 3215 is a 2.
Okay.
So I think, but you know, you could,
could you make it less units?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you could make it, yes.
De-densify.
Yeah, de-densify.
I'm not sure what the grant says about that. I'd have to check.
But I think, what I'm saying is, we could say, Enterprise, it's either this or this. You know, it's either the Beacon project moves forward an X timeline, or, we're gonna do legacy cities with this and see what they say. But in both scenarios, technically, because that's what they said, if you didn't do Beacon, what would you do? We'd be
Yeah.
telling them what we're doing with it, and they might be okay parting with that money by the end of.
I think it was more, if you don't acquire these properties by the end of the year with Beacon, what's the plan for Beacon past January 1st?
Right.
I don't know that Tanya was opening the door to what's the plan if Beacon is not gonna be part of these buildings?
Well,
I could be
you might
wrong.
be right, but I guess we
Usually
have
not.
to tell her, we have to give it a shot, I guess, and I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where you're at,
Yep.
is, you know, we're gonna,
Put our best plan on the table.
and I think the other piece of it was that we were gonna see what the city's position was, you know, do you really want to see the Beacon Park go through as is, or how would you feel about another project? Right,
When Habitat didn't share in Hollow, we partnered with
That was a land bank.
yeah,
Market Rate, but they partnered with
Oh,
the Market
yeah.
Rate developer. on that.
yes,
Would that fly in the Legacy Cities grant if there was a
Well,
for-profit and a not-for-profit teamed up as co-developers?
probably, but the
I
emphasis is on MWD.
remember in our meeting this morning, when somebody said, can we use Habitat, this is another land bank, wasn't part of the state, asked if they could use Habitat as their developer, and HCR really frowned on it.
No, but I mean, if you had the other, the for-profit entity in the lead, Habitat was belonged
Oh, I
to
see.
the Rise for the affordable piece, and the other entity was developing maybe a market rate piece or whatever. Just,
Well, that's the other thing, isn't there the covenant on that? For what,
It's gotta be sold to an owner occupant for a period of 10 years.
100% of the AMI? So there's a restriction, I believe it's 100, right, Tony?
It is. And you get more grant money. if
So you
go down.
can't really market rate it, but depending upon what the market rates are in Troy, you could be close. Anyway,
just teamed up, sure. It's like a family.
I know,
Family.
perfect partnership.
I'm trying to think, when was it
What's
completed?
Fred's, how do you say Fred's last name? Brian?
So-
How do you say Fred's last name?
Darkest, darkest.
Dargust, okay. He's got his own development company.
He does. I think it's more a management, property management than construction. I could be wrong.
Well, actually, Teresa Newton reached out to him today to see if he'd be interested in working on with one of these two bundles. And
Oh, really?
he's interested. So,
Yeah.
he kind of knows Habitat.
Yeah,
So that might work. That's what you're talking about, right?
something like that. But I think the entity that teamed up with Sheridan did like literally half the construction.
Yeah, they own half the units and
Yeah.
Habitat own half the units.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I can't think of it either, but I
Just
remember
not
talking to
covered.
Mike when they were doing it. That's why.
A construction company?
Yeah.
There's a developer. Yeah. So,
I'm trying to remember because I don't remember that deal.
and they have really, I think they've done other projects together. They may have even been a partner in the Fox Hollow down south.
And Habitat too. Habitat. Um, 300 plus.
I'm just thinking that if you can have a for-profit, the lead. Habitat is behind.
yeah, I don't know how closely HCR is going to look at the subs.
Yeah.
So, they may, I just don't know. I mean, that's a question that could always be asked.
Wasn't housing vision.
It might have been. But
I
they
think
got
so.
grants from a. Actual developer.
Maybe.
All right, I knew it all, but my memory doesn't.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so-
not,
Really. What's the line? What's your name again?
unless it was Habitat that contracted with, and that's why I wouldn't know, because I'm not counsel at Habitat. I don't recall the land bank having a. Could be wrong, it's a
So
long
this,
time ago.
you were there, you're their attorney? Oh, like,
Not
no,
anymore.
This is when like Jacobson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started with them from when they were founded, 2015 till. But maybe he, well, no,
That's just your
Yeah.
to do.
yeah. I'll add to that.
So is this kind of tied into the legacy enforcement stuff? With what they're saying?
have we done any?
What, foreclosures?
Technically, it's not a foreclosure,
Yeah.
but,
Deed,
yes. We got, I filed the deed for 3209, 3211. That has to come back, but we technically own that.
Sweet.
Then 785, 836 River, I just filed, we got a default judgment against SHLT LLC. So that went to the county clerk for filing. I have to serve him. And he's probably gonna ignore it, so I might have to send the sheriff out to serve him and make him deed it back.
Where
over.
is he down?
Spring Valley.
Spring Valley.
She's there. She's there.
Tui Homeownership Foundation.
Oh,
Oh,
Tui, yeah,
Makes sense.
that makes sense.
You said 785-8.
And 836,
That's two properties.
yes.
I'm still intrigued about that idea of splitting 3209, 3211 into two creeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
already planning on it.
Have we moved on? Enforcement, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, just on the beacon, I think the issue with it now is they basically told us they're not, I mean, their lawyer hasn't called me, but they're not gonna exercise that option by October. So for all intents and purposes, it's done. So I think then you gotta scramble to really get back to enterprise, or else this round is gonna close and that'll be that.
Tanya said that by the end of this quarter, she wants all land banks to demonstrate to her how they're going to finish all their initiatives by the end of the year. So that's our time
Do
frame.
we have to tie the beacon project to some cities? Yeah. Just
You don't have to, no. I was
No
just
reason
saying-
to at all.
Habitat's hungry for Troy projects at this point. Try.
Yeah, that, the only one that wouldn't qualify for, well, obviously you have the legacy would be that technically that 809 River, which is fine, but it's 3 stories and it's big. So you could, but we're buying all 4 for 293. All of the vacant land, the 3 bed buildings and the
Yeah.
vacant land.
Yeah. If for some reason, I think there was a 5th that I don't have on the map. I kind of threw this together this morning. What's the building next to the lot?
That's 8, next to 814.
Yeah, that's the Vesta.
Oh, I just had the whole list of other properties way
The
back.
only
when we
real
first-
issue with it, and this is just sort of my own, you're paying 293,000 enterprise money to sell a piece of property to Habitat.
Good luck.
Is that- Yeah, that's the only bummer.
That's all for party.
Solution, deferred, what you were talking about before.
I mean, the other option is to take those properties and put out your own RFP for development. See what comes back as a proposal for those properties. And then it would make sense to,
Turn out too well for us.
yeah,
Well, is the only way we can be co-developers is if it's on the property. Can't set aside money, say, per unit. Say, much stake each unit. Not that I want to do that
Right,
again.
right.
But-
Well,
but in terms of granting the money to have that
technically,
project,
yes, you could, because you would be saying it's gonna be for rehabilitation portion. And then we've done that before, way back.
Yeah,
I think Joe Fon was.
the last two, that was the formula.
It's 820.
There was this sort of formula.
It's is it 820?
we're sort of doing that with 791.
Yeah, but so
Leave.
what would we get when we get our money back when we sell?
It's all how you structure it. I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, usually in the way Albany did it too, like Habitat and the land banks would split the proceeds from the sale.
Yeah.
Or allocated to the investment. So like if Habitat put in 60, they get 60% of the sale versus.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's a
But,
good way to help perpetuate land bank funds.
but you gotta get it. I guess what I'm saying is the time is running out for going back to enterprise to say, we'd like the 293 for this instead of the beacon. Because pretty much at this point, they've told us they're not moving forward. They don't know when they would be moving forward. And, you know, the board's gonna say to me, well, you know, what does this look like? Well, they probably want another option for 12 to 24 months, and that's just not on the table. Enterprise won't go for that.
Right. Chances are low of going to plan B.
I
I
think
think
if,
our chances are zero if we don't go in with anything.
well, yeah, we have to go on to plan B. I think if we go back to Tanya and ask her to give us the money so we can do our own, we could act as our own GC. It's never gonna happen.
That's the shit.
Yeah. I think if we're directly involved, she's not gonna sign off on it. Plus Beacon has enough clout that they're willing to use to have someone over her head, which is, sounds like everybody.
Well, that's the thing. If Beacon were to say, we'll enter into a sale contract and we'll close by, 12 months from now or whatever, that's different than an option. But all they're willing to do is do the option because they want to get out. You know what I mean? They don't want to move forward. This is that Armageddon situation I described when we agreed to the option is they can pretty much walk away.
Yeah, we do that.
And it just happens to be your entire round 4 funding. Pretty
Well,
much.
it's not all of it. It's almost all of it.
The project is, yeah.
Well, yeah, the project.
If maybe on Friday, we can brainstorm too about some other potential partners for those properties. Because there was a lot of interest, especially with our current vacant lots that we have there. If we pick up that 814 and 820, that's on the table as that other one. I mean, that's a good chunk right there. And then you have the 3209, 3211, which is right behind it, 3215.
I mean, seat could be an option as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they don't require a lot of work.
How does your deal usually work with seed? Them, or when they're doing, what are they getting out?
They're only doing 54 Fifth Avenue for us in terms of, contracting. And the formula is whatever the profit is at the end, we split 50-50.
They GC the whole thing.
You get a lot of donations for materials and stuff. They still doing that.
Free labor and
No, it's pretty much free labor. That's really what it is.
And if there's something they can't do, bid it out like we're supposed to.
So you're paying $300,000 for basically 3 buildings because one is a lot.
Yep.
Right. Where 3 families worth up there.
so they're all coming back, the assessments, but if it's depending upon the condition, there's 150 is fair. But one's a 2-family, one's a 3-unit, one's a 5-unit. And then the vacant lot. I don't know if 820 is also on that.
For some reason, I think 820 was part of it. And
Because 820 is the one that's the home.
yeah, I thought it was 5. properties.
but part of that was, and that's right above A14, that's the one that's that thing that cuts through.
I mean, the good news is if you decide the hell with it, I don't wanna, not gonna mess with it.
Yeah.
You're out too, you know,
Yeah.
the money, enterprise keeps the money and
Yeah.
that's it, but
Yeah, that's the worst thing that can happen. It's not like there's money that we're going to
But I would
have
say
to get
that
back.
we're not wasting money. 293 and stuff, and
It's a good purchase.
it's a good
price.
purchase price for all of them. As long as they're having.
So if you could buy them and do something with C, but that's more properties than they're gonna want to be able to do, right?
Right.
They're gonna be able to do one of those.
We could even turn around and buy them and flip them and get our money back. I mean, seriously, just put them on the MLS as is. And get our money back. Plus some. There's a shortage of inventory.
I mean, Vesta sat on it quite a while. Like they didn't have any active sales other than this beacon project.
So I got a little bit more of there was a lot of history there because they really wanted to hold on to the 20. Because they also, I believe, had the license to operate as a,
Yeah, I remember.
so, yeah, I remember all that. And then they just kind of wanted to hold out for a while because the realtor that kind of was a part of close with Father Young, that they didn't really want to sell. They were just holding out for whatever reason.
Oh, do you know how many square feet 820 is?
820 is
Yeah, you saw that.
7,000 square feet.
Okay, because there's
Just true.
what went into the application. Oh, so you said 7,000?
I believe is that
Okay,
that is
I'm
it's a rooming house that said existing 67.
I'm looking at some of the round 4.2 information that was put together in draft form. And I've got a property, 6,770
Yeah.
square feet. It didn't have an address.
That was converted into a rooming. Well, if you widen that cell, it'll tell you what the address is. It's just
Because
because
I think what Nicole said is they couldn't look to do something sooner than 2 years, 2 to 3 years from now. Because originally I said, well, maybe we can get the funds dispersed and hold an escrow until such time as the project can move forward. What would be the time frame? And Duncan's like 2 to 3 years to be just to start. And I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work.
oh no.
Oh.
See, yeah, it's the adjoining, it's that one, yeah, it's an existing 6,700 3-foot converted into a rooming house.
That's all logical.
So
Used
what
as-
did we go before advised with? Consider it. We went- Go before them with Beacons, master plan for the neighborhood. They saw all that.
Yeah, they did.
This is interesting. 809 River Street was a 3-story building that was converted from a 3-unit to 6 small supportive housing units. So the city only has it as 5. And it says here the building will be gut rehabbed and restored to 3 units.
No, that now that you just said that, I'm wondering, and I have to ask, I have 2 supportive housing clients. that
Yeah.
are similar to Vesta,
Yeah,
and whether they'd be interested if they went through like HAAC, the Office of Temporary Disability Services.
yeah,
They all right.
it's all right.
That was 4:30.
That's for the executive. A&D was 3:30.
I thought you said canceled.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Then I sent out another thing saying the
I
cancellation.
knew I
was an
should have
error.
hit reply all. I said, is this canceled? He said, no, but it was
But I
just
sent you a
between us.
text and I thought you said,
That's what happened.
oh,
So I
It's all right.
moved it from the calendar,
Is it 4:30?
I
disappeared.
got a.
4:24, yes.
So now that Albert's here, I'm gonna leave.
All right, me too.
All
Don't
right.
forget your umbrella. I'll see you Friday at 1.
See you Friday at 1. All right.
Yeah,
She's
I'll come over.
If you
Okay.
can remember to email me anything that's perking around in your brain, that'd be awesome. If not, I'll just,
Okay. I'll see you try it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Bye. See you
Bye,
soon.
Steve. Thank you. Yeah, Kate, that's,
Let me see, because then they could apply through OTDA.
can you put that up? For-
HHs.
Yeah, it's, yeah, they're, you can sit in Steve's.
Yes, I'm
Well,
on my way
Let
out.
me give that an address.
So that's 820.
Well,
I don't know what that other one is down on the bottom there, that existing 54. So you have
another
809,
one that was-
814, 820, 834, 3215. Are those all Vestas?
alrighty. See you guys.
Pretty sure they are.
I'm,
All right, so let me
Thanks.
see. Jeanette, thank you.
yeah, it was not exactly, I didn't feel it was very productive in any sense, but oh well.
No, I know. So let's look at the. So how big is that bottom one? 5,400 square feet converted from. So that's an 8 unit.
8 that was expanded from a 4.
Okay. That's either 111, 113 Second Ave, 76-8 Dow.
If I go through these files, I can probably figure it out. There's maps and whatnot.
5400. Yeah, because the only other ones that I had was 111, 113 Second Ave, and 76-8 DOUW.
Yeah. There are maps. I just have
That's
to
okay.
dig them up. It'll take a while for me.
What are the addresses of the Vesta properties?
The addresses of the Vestas are the ones that are
That-
Beacon,
Mhm,
809 River, is that 5
the
unit?
buildings, yeah.
Yeah, it's the 5 units, but actually just found out 6, formerly 3. 834 River is 3 units. 3215 6 is 2 units.
So
I'm emailing it to you.
809 is 3 units.
809 would be 3 units.
Okay.
Currently 6 small units. And I don't know what that status is on 820 River. I don't know if that was part of the 293.
All right, so 809.
Do you have that agreement with Beacon? Contract? See what it-
Can we get Beacon's permission to go in with a similar segment, that like our segment of their project with a different player?
They're out. They don't care.
And in terms of using their master plan.
Oh, I see. Well, basically, if they're out, that's no longer part of the master plan. So
Well, for our properties, it could be similar.
for us, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like, just say, hey. Beacon's not applying. But we have the
809,
potential
hold on,
to
let's just
go
try to
to
stop.
do something
sorry.
similar for a portion of the properties.
No, 809, 814, 834. They had a separate agreement with them for
Yeah.
820. So it's 809. So
Not 820.
806, 810, 812, 879, 881, huh?
Yeah, but not 820. That's really odd that
They had a separate agreement with 820.
Well, yeah.
And
know
I
that
think that's because
but
they
I
were
don't see
trying
it.
to sell that license.
Beacon Vesta purchases.
I could look and go see who was 820. Do you have the agenda for the exec? Print that out.
Okay, they were gonna buy 820 separately from
Yeah.
Vesta and only 820.
That 3215.
6. Yep. Sorry
Okay.
about my flowery.
Okay, did I hear anybody give a motion to, are we still an A&D or?
We, I guess we are.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Is
I
there a
wasn't
quick
sure.
update on step 91? Is seat working?
Yeah, they're working, but not quickly, and they've got reasons for it though. So George is pulling his hair out, trying to figure out what to do with the veneer. D'Agostino is at some point in the future going to, do another run of those.
Same block.
Yeah, but they won't promise when. They won't even give a guesstimate because they don't want to be held to anything. George has looked at alternative materials. He looked at a brick with a grayish tone to it. So I don't know how.
I thought they were gonna pull it all off and use it for papers. Just do
I'll
something.
be right
Yeah,
back.
that was something he and I talked about.
Yeah.
The last time I talked to him about it, which is probably about 2 weeks ago, he thinks it's all gonna break apart when he tries to take it apart. But, he talked to me last week about split block.
Split face block.
Yeah, split face block, sorry, split face block. And what's the stuff called? The fake stuff that looks like the real stuff.
For block or for brick? Thin brick?
That's not it. No, this is, they make it to look like stone, they make it to look like brick.
Yeah, cultured stone.
No, it's
Thin,
not
it's
that.
either thin brick or cultured stone.
That doesn't sound like what George was talking about.
Talking something this thick or something set in mortar. It's not.
I
Doesn't
think
lay up
it's,
like
I
a
think it's
wall.
peel and stick. He is having somebody come in this week to take a look at the gas lines, because the way, that interstitial, say the word for me, interspatial space.
Interstitial.
Thank you, interstitial space. There's no room there the way it's configured for 2 water heaters, or I guess 3 water heaters. So George is saying that gas lines have to be relocated to accommodate water heaters. And the water heaters probably ought to be, the on demand, just for space purposes.
Well, if it's on demand, not any tanks.
That's what I mean.
So it isn't. So,
It's pretty tight.
um,
Oh, geez, it's crazy. George broke through the wall because otherwise you had to stick a ladder up. I mean, you were a consortium artist to get up there to get at that one, the second floor furnace. So, and the other thing he's frustrated about is, and he said it's not just this project. He can't get quotes from anybody. He said, whenever he needs a quote, people are either saying, I'm too busy to even give you a quote, or they make an appointment and they never show up, or they show up and they just never come up with a quote. So, and that doesn't only apply to 791, that applies, actually, it did apply to
everyone's busy.
5450.
Post-COVID,
Yeah.
everybody's busy again.
I think a
I'm gonna use
lot of
the
stuff got
example
backed up
of
during
alcohol.
pandemic, and now it's all breaking loose.
Is he doing any work besides interior work? Or?
Just minor interior stuff like trying to make the back stairs temporarily safer. 2x4 rails.
But they're committed to the project. All agreements are signed and they
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, George definitely sounds invested.
Yeah.
So,
They signed a piece of paper that says we're doing this.
Yep. Yeah.
It's good.
54 Fifth Avenue. George tells me, depending on how much muscle he can get into the building, he'll have it done in 2 months or sooner.
Hey.
So,
How are you?
How's my honey? Oh, it's so good to see you. You look amazing.
You feel good too.
I try.
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
Don't sit in that chair.
And now, can I tell you a secret? Did you hug him? Of course I did. We put all the broken ones in here, so be careful before you
Oh.
sit.
That's good to know.
didn't
Of
know that.
course I did. How's my friend Lynn? Huh?
She's still at DEC. Yeah, she's
Oh,
still-
God bless her.
I know, yeah, she's been there for like,
So I sent my
yeah,
clients
she's been there about
a
5 years.
list,
Yeah.
just see what their thoughts are, how it works is they apply for funding from the
Yeah.
Housing Corporation, right?
Yeah.
Same, it's very similar to HCR, but
Yep.
different. And if they can get funding, they can rehab, new build, whatever they want to do.
Okay,
So let's see,
okay.
because then that's on them. We would just have to flip,
I love these meeting of the minds. and
but
everything.
we'll see.
So it's fun. Okay. Thank you, Kate. Gonna call the meeting to order. It's 4:35.
Did we call the other one out of order?
Make a motion to adjourn the.
I second that motion. Aye.
4:35.
4:35.
Okay, let me. My bright and shiny face.
Need to get your ring light.